You know what this is, right? I'm sure you've seen a million times. Childhood favorite show, anime, cartoon, a book, or even video game being turned into a watered down soulless mess. I'm sad to say, but I'm scared of the new live action One Piece movie. It has nothing to do with the writing or the casting, but because of how goofy the animation could get. Look at this. Now what a human is doing this. You think Leonardo DiCaprio is doing this? No, even the facial expressions are hard to imitate without just looking like a goofball. You know, like the My Hero Academia fans on TikTok, which is exactly why I'm scared of the One Piece live adaptation. Just like every other live action adaptation like ATLA, Death Note, and the horrible adaptation of Dragon Ball. You seriously want me to believe this guy is Goku? Everything is wrong with this movie. Aside from the plot, which by the way isn't much like DBZ, his grandfather apparently gave him a Dragon Ball for his 18th birthday. Dragon Ball Evolution is a great example of one thing wrong with live action adaptations. Casting. Goku isn't the only problem here. Look at Bulma. She doesn't even have blue hair. Literally could have bought a wig. You want to capitalize on the name of Dragon Ball, and the movie you made doesn't even look like Dragon Ball. And now Piccolo. Now this movie had a budget of 30 million USD. And this isn't really a problem with casting, but I'm gonna count this. This is about the way he looks. Or he looks somehow worse than a Power Ranger villain. Why we got an ugly Origins Cthulhu playing Piccolo? Another horrible example of this was the American Death Note. Somehow the hardest character to recreate was the best looking. See, now my problem with L isn't his race. I don't care if he's black, white, yellow, red, or stinking Jew as long as it fits. But part of L's character is that he's a social outcast who barely even goes outside and can barely talk to people, which is why it made perfect sense for him to be pale. I don't need someone to explain to me why this brother has so much melanin. You mean to tell me you couldn't just find some pale dude who could act, or just a white dude like you add a little bit of makeup on? So you guys are missing the reason you wanted live action versions of characters. You know, before you started to completely decimate all of them, it's because we just wanted a different perspective, to see them in our universe. The Death Note movie even strays from the plot. I think we all know the reason for this. Why is the plot in these movies always different? And once again, we look at the Dragon Ball movie. I'm sorry, but this movie is just the perfect example of how to fail a live action adaptation. Who else except ATLA is really doing like them? They have the blueprint in front of their faces and they just toss it out. You see, a big thing is that Goku's grandfather, who's now dead, had given him Dragon Ball. He's supposed to look after it as a child, and now evil people are coming after him for the balls. He meets Bulma, Krillin, and more as he trains under Master Roshi. That's Dragon Ball. He's some lonely, strong as hell child. See, now in Evolution, his grandfather's alive. And well, I'm not gonna explain everything that happens in Evolution, but it is literally just a high school movie where an 18-year-old receives a magic ball from his grandfather and has to protect it while going to school from Piccolo, who's trapped under the earth due to a spell. Right. This movie feels like if you go to ChatGPT and type rewrite the Dragon Ball Z script but for teenagers. And this is what came out. The big problem with the plot of these movies is that it feels like the people who made them don't actually watch or read the originals. They just went to Google and found a summary of the plot. Movies like these need to be carefully thought out, examined, and made by people who love the originals. Or, I don't know, hear me out, the original show creators. When I picture Dragon Ball, I don't think of an 18-year-old high schooler. I think of the dude who beats cancer patients. Another problem I have with the plot is that it feels so rushed. And this may be where the main problem with the plot lies. They try to fit so much into 2 hours. An entire plot line that will stretch over 600 plus characters is just 2 hours, which brings us to the next topic. I was thinking about using Dragon Ball Evolution. I decided to give them a break. Instead, we used the Death Note live adaptation. The original anime called Death Note, Light finds a book that once a name's written in, that person will die. There are many rules within the Death Note that Light exploits. At first, he uses this notebook in order to kill only criminals, and then he begins to slowly turn into a maniac. As L and other detectives try and track him down, we see his descent into madness. Now he uses every single card properly. From the introduction of Misa to his insane manipulation tactics. Who else is really doing it like him? My man somehow managed to make a god of death himself. Truly the greatest to ever do it. Sadly, the live action failed to show any of this. From his brilliance, even Misa. Who is this? To be able to show just how much of a genius Light is compared to the anime, at least they'd have a deeper dive and take more time to develop his character. And not only that, but somehow fit it within a time span of 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's impossible to capture everything that goes into the character of Light within that time frame, and why try? So instead of wasting valuable resources and time on destroying a franchise, why not just, I don't know, make something else? Alright, by the way, they added a new rule in which if you write someone's name down, you can just burn the page and they won't die. Why? An easy way out. Duh. The best thing to do with a plot and characters like Death Note is to just leave it alone. There isn't much you can do to serve justice. That short amount of time won't do anything but make it worse. Rushing character development, making characters less fleshed out because it will take time, and changing the plot, all for it to fit. What about that makes sense? Sacrifice proper characters, plot, and ideas for no reason. You know, this is where I'm most scared for the One Piece adaptation. The animation. One Piece is known for its crazy animation and characters that look like Well, this. See, a major problem with live action is trying to make something like this look natural. There are many ways this can go wrong in terms of visuals. Not to mention, I find it hard to believe that making a human look like this is possible. I mean, Luffy stretches, like, a lot. Not just his arms or his legs, but even his face, his belly, every part of him. Recreating this on an actual human is hard to manage. That isn't the only problem in terms of visuals. Imagine the Fishman, Buggy, Frankie, and more. I mean, if the CGI is anything like Flash right now, we're done. But hey man, here's hoping. In other words, what's the problem with adaptations? Well, most of the time, they don't know what to use. Which specific shows will work well in the time frame, which shows can be changeable, and what you can make using your budget. So clearly, Piccolo and the blue wig for Bulma wasn't in their budget. Probably, most of all, sticking to source material. It's probably something the One Piece adaptation might shine in, seeing as Oda himself was working on it. If Oda himself not stick to material, make it better, live action is doomed.